Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, took a step that has everyone talking. I mean, Nigerian are pissed. They are angry at the fact that he did that. Why would he do that? Why on earth would he look around Nigeria and not see anyone fit to hand over his refinery to? Or he had handed over to a white dude? Why would he do that? Well, Aliko Dangote appointed David Bird, a former Shell executive and ex-CEO of OQH Refinery in Oman, as chief executive officer. As chief executive of its refinery and petrochemical division. So why are Nigerians pissed? Why is everyone pissed? Why are they angry? Well, they said he looked around Nigeria and couldn't find someone worthy of the title, someone who could lead, someone who could do the job, someone who could work as the CEO, and he gave it to a white man, David Bird. Regardless of his qualifications, they wanted a black person to lead, as the CEO, to be appointed as the CEO instead of a white man. That is what Nigerians want. It's our land, it's his refinery, and they wanted a black person, a black representative to lead as the CEO, to be appointed CEO instead of a white man. Well, let's check this out. Bird's appointment aims to drive Dangote's Pan-African growth strategy and optimize production at its $20 billion refinery complex. Dangote plans to allow Nigerian ownership in its refinery operations and list shares on local and international exchanges. This move marks a step in Dangote's plan to expand the refinery. He wants to accelerate its Pan-African growth agenda, and he thought it wise to hand it over to David Bird, an ex-CEO, a Shell executive, former Shell executive. He thought it wise to hand it over to him. It's his refinery. Wouldn't you agree? It's his. And while critics say it's for the good of the refinery, others are saying, why a white man? But does it really matter? Or it doesn't? Well, let's continue this. Bird, whose appointment took effect on August 1, brings over 30 years of industry experience, including a 14-year tenure at Shell, where he oversaw the $12 billion Prelude floating LNG project. Well, that's not all. His leadership arrives at a critical moment as Dangote's $20 billion refinery complex, that's the world's largest single-train facility, ramps up production following its commissioning in January 2024. Let's talk a little bit about this Dangote refinery, right? Dangote Refinery is located in Lagos, Nigeria, and the refinery is a $19 billion project. It's got the capacity to refine 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day. That's more than enough to meet Nigeria's domestic fuel need and even export. And the goal is to make Nigeria one of the biggest oil producers in Africa. That has been his goal. That has been his plan. Let's watch this video.
Actually turn Africa into a heaven in the next 5 years. It doesn't take time.
So how
because like what I keep saying, you need to think big, then you grow big. You think small, you never grow.
Okay, but the reality is right now we're still relying on foreign partners. To create more African banks is going to take some time. So what's your solution?
Well, the solution is that right now people have seen exactly what what they've been doing. We don't expect the international banks to do, but we should also make sure that we have you see, for us to grow, we need a very strong financial institutions. We need to have good manufacturing base. We need to also face agriculture. All the other artificial intelligence and co, they will follow. It's part of the growth. But once we do that, we focus on our own mineral sources. I am telling you, Africa will be totally a different story. People now always come and talk about corruption. Of course, Africa is not the only place that you have corruption. Corruption is all over the place. The only difference is that our corrupt people, when they steal the money, they take it, they fly the money out of the continent. If they continue to invest here, fine, then the economy will grow.
So his plan is to make Nigeria one of the biggest oil producers from importing fuel. Yes, you heard that right. Nigeria exports crude oil and imports diesel, kerosene, petrol. It's like you are the tree. You grow mangoes. You have fruit, but you pay someone to juice them. When you can make available refineries in your own country, Nigeria sells its crude oil and then imports back refined. I'm wondering what our leaders think sometimes. And you know what? The Dangote Refinery has faced so many obstruction from our so-called leaders because they do not want him to be involved in this. You know, since he came into the picture, the fuel price has been dwindling, going down gradually. Actually, every man for himself, we would say, he still wants something for his pockets, but he's actually helping Nigerians because the plans our leaders had for us or have for us concerning this fuel matter is something we won't finish a day. Now, let's come back to the topic of discussion. All of a sudden, we were proud that we had a refinery as big as this in Nigeria. Dangote Refinery, he's doing well, he's a Nigerian, we were proud, he's an African. All of a sudden, we hear that he is handing it over. Okay, the CEO is now David Bird, a white man. Why? Nigerians dragged the hell out of him. Why did he hand it over to a white man? Did he not see anyone qualified in Nigeria or Africa to hand over this appointment to? Why a white man? What does this spell? What does this say for the future? Are we not qualified in Africa? Well, David Bird is not new into the oil and gas sector. He's not new. He has over 35 years of experience. He has deep experiences. And we know the Dangote Refinery is like a mega industrial complex with deep engineering demand. So he would go for who he knows can do the job. While we are angry that he didn't hand it over to the CEO position to a Nigerian or an African, let's also look at the bigger picture. Whoever gets the work done. But on a second thought, is there no one in Africa who can get the job done? What do you have to say about this story? Well, according to reports on LinkedIn, Bird noted that his priorities would include optimizing refinery performance and expanding Dangote's footprint across the African continent. Now, no one is denying that David Bird isn't qualified enough. No one is denying the fact that the guy is good. He knows his onion. 35 years in the industry is not a joke. But what we are saying is if we keep importing leadership, we want something, we go out there to import. We look for them to import them and bring them to our land to work for us, take our money, We service them. We give them jobs. If we keep doing this, when will it end? When will the African world have its own leadership? When are we going to stand on our ground? That is what the people are saying. They're not arguing the qualifications of David Bird. What do you have to say about this story? Do you think it's a wise decision? Although we will say that he knows what's best. It's his refinery, and he needs qualified hands, and it thought it wise that David Bird could do the job. What do you have to say about the story? Comment below and do not forget to share, like, subscribe.